What's up guys? Today's video is on the Canon EOS 1DX Review 2023. The Canon EOS 1DX is a camera that just screams professional. It's physically imposing, with a big design that incorporates portrait and landscape shooting controls and loads of control buttons. The 18-megapixel full-frame image sensor is impressive in low light, and the autofocus system features 61 selectable points. Its banner feature is the ability to shoot at an impressive 14 frames per second, a figure that is sure to please photographers who make a living capturing fast action. If you need this type of camera, you know it, but it's not perfect. For non-pros, another Canon full-frame camera, the EOS 6D, is a better choice. It's a comparative bargain and our editor's choice for full-frame DSLRs, but its burst shooting capabilities and its autofocus system pale in comparison. Design and features. Like its closest competitor, the Nikon D4, the 1DX features a design that incorporates vertical shooting controls in addition to the standard horizontal ones. Other enthusiast-oriented DSLRs, including the APS-C Pentax K5i's and every full-frame DSLR on the market, offer a vertical shooting grip as an add-on accessory. The grip houses a huge battery. It's rated for more than 1,110 shots using the viewfinder, though extensive use of live view will reduce that figure. The 1DX measures 6.4 by 6.2 by 3.3 inches and weighs 3.4 pounds. Like other top-end cameras, it features a magnesium alloy chassis, covered in hard polycarbonate and a grippy textured leatherette. The body is protected against dust and moisture, and the image sensor features a self-cleaning mechanism to help reduce the occurrence of dust spots. The viewfinder is a pleasure to use. It's a pentaprism design that covers 100% of the frame and offers 0.76x magnification. That's slightly larger than the 0.7x finder found in the Nikon D800. The difference doesn't sound like much on paper, but the 1DX shows a noticeably larger image in its finder than the Nikon when viewing the same subject through a lens of identical focal length, focused at the same distance. The default focusing screen is clear and bright, but you can change it out to one that best suits your purposes. Canon offers screens that are ideal for macro photography, as well as one with a split image focusing. There are more controls than you can shake a stick at strewn across the camera's ample body. Two pairs of control buttons surround the lens mount. By default, one activates the depth of field preview function and the other resets the active focus point to its default location. Like most of the controls on the camera, these can be customized to your liking. There are 3 buttons on the top to the left of the viewfinder. The mode button lets you toggle between aperture priority, shutter priority, manual, and other shooting modes. Just press it once, use either the rear or top control wheel to change the setting, and press it again to set it. The AF drive button serves 2 purposes. Press it and the top control wheel adjusts the autofocus mode, while the rear wheel sets the continuous shooting mode. The third button operates in a similar fashion, giving you control over the metering pattern and the flash compensation. To the right of the finder, you'll find a button to activate the backlight for the top-mounted information LCD, and others to adjust white balance, exposure compensation, and ISO. On the grip, there's the standard shutter release, a programmable MFN button, and a control wheel. These, along with the AF on, exposure lock, and autofocus point select controls that live on the top right corner of the camera, are duplicated on the vertical shooting grip. Rear shooting controls are limited to a control wheel, a button to switch between the optical finder and live view, the Q button, and 2 directional controllers that serve the same function. The Q button brings up a menu of shooting settings on the rear LCD, and it's also the easiest place to go if you want to customize the 1DX's controls. From its custom controls submenu, you'll be able to adjust the behavior of the shutter release, the AF on button, both directional controllers, both control wheels, the exposure lock button, the depth of field preview button, both MFN controls, and the set button. With a little bit of effort, you're able to configure the 1DX to best suit your taste. The rear LCD is big at 3.2 inches, but it looks small when framed by the 1DX's body. Its resolution is an impressive 140K dots. It's a bit sharper than the 920K dot display found on the Nikon D800, but even looking at them side by side, it's hard to notice the difference. There are some additional controls underneath the rear LCD. 4 buttons control image playback and allow you to add voice notes to images. There's also a monochrome LCD on the back of the camera. It shows you which card slot is active and shows the selected file format. Performance and conclusions. The 1DX is one of the fastest shooting cameras on the block. It starts and grabs a photo in about 0.5 seconds, manages a shutter lag that is virtually unnoticeable, and can rattle off shots at speeds of up to 13.9 frames per second in a special high-speed shooting mode that requires you to shoot in JPG with locked focus and exposure, and limits you to about 56 photos at that rate, with 6.7 seconds required to clear the buffer to a 90 megabytes per second SanDisk compact flash memory card. The standard continuous shooting mode maxes out at 12 FPS. We got about 11.8 FPS in our tests. But in that mode, the camera can adjust for exposure and focus after each photo. If you shoot in RAW plus JPG, you are limited to a scant 17 shots at that rate, and switching to RAW only doubles that to 34 shots. If you shoot JPG, you'll be able to grab 85 shots before the camera slows, regardless of file format. About 8 seconds is required to clear the 1DX's buffer. The Nikon D4 is slightly slower at 10 frames per second, but can go a bit longer, 71 RAW plus JPG, 80 RAW, or 192 photos with an XQD memory card, or 61 RAW plus JPG, 65 RAW, or 112 JPG shots using compact flash. If you'd like to shoot at a slower pace, you can configure the continuous high and continuous low settings. The former can be set from 2 to 12 shots per second, the latter from 1 to 11. Our tests showed that the autofocus system was quick and accurate. In standard indoor lighting conditions, the camera locks and fires almost instantly, though it does slow to about a second to do the same when it's very dark. Live view focus is a bit slower, 1.7 seconds, but even in dark conditions it slows down just a little bit to 1.8 seconds. Compare this with the relatively bargain-priced EOS 60. That camera requires about 0.4 seconds to focus in good light and 1.6 seconds in dim light. In live view modes, those speeds lengthen to 2.3 seconds and 2.7 seconds, respectively. I used a Matus to check and see how the 18-megapixel image sensor handles image noise at high ISO setting. It's an impressive performer, as it keeps noise under 1.5% through ISO 12800 using default setting. It's in line with other Canon full-frame cameras. Both the EOS 5D Mark III and 6D deliver similar images at high ISO settings. The Sony Alpha 99 and Nikon D800 only keep noise this low through ISO 64.0. There is some smudging noticeable with JPG images at ISO 12800. It's not evident at ISO 64.0, but it's much less than you see with the Alpha 99. You can adjust the in-camera noise reduction to your liking. It can be turned off, set to low, to standard, or to high. If you'd rather process each file individually, you can shoot in RAW. RAW images are noisier at higher ISOs, as no reduction is applied, and have a bit of a grainy look. There's an impressive amount of detail in ISO 12800 RAW images, so you can apply noise reduction as you see fit in software. The pattern of the noise is tighter and finer than it is when looking at our RAW test shots captured with the Alpha 99. Proof that the lower resolution 18-megapixel sensor does a better job when the light gets very low when compared with the 24-megapixel sensor in the Sony camera. We reviewed images side by side on a calibrated NEC multi-sync PA271W in order to determine which best balanced noise reduction and detail. Video is recorded in 1080p30, 1080p24, or 720p60 quality. Movie files are saved in QuickTime format, with your choice of OLI or IPB compression. The footage looks great, with crisp details and the ability to capture video with a shallow depth of field, depending on the attached lens. Autofocus works during video recording, and it's quite fast and quiet when paired with the Canon EF 70-200mm f/4 liters USM lens. But it's still a contrast detect system. The focus has to hunt until it finds the ideal focus point, go a little further, and snap back into sharpness. If you're using the 1DX for any serious video work, manual focus is recommended. If you want a full-frame camera that does a better job with video, consider the Sony Alpha 99 as an alternative. It has a fixed mirror design with an excellent eye-level OLED for full-time phase detect focus, even when recording video. It also supports balanced XLR audio input via an optional adapter, and records in 1080p60 using the AVHCD codec. There is an external mic input, which is a boon for run and gun documentarians and for other projects where the in-camera mic isn't up for the task. But there's no headphone jack, so you can't monitor the audio as it's recording as you can with the Nikon D4. There's also a mini HDMI port, but it doesn't allow you to send clean, uncompressed video to a field recorder as you can with the D4 or Canon's own 5D Mark III. Starting video recording is a bit of a process. You have to dive into the menu and toggle the live view mode from still to video recording in order to access it. A physical switch to change this setting would be a welcome addition. The 1DX is compatible with Canon EF lenses, but it is not compatible with APS-C EFS lenses. They simply won't mount. Nikon and Sony offer compatibility with their APS-C glass via and camera crop modes that only use a portion of the sensor. The 1DX isn't a camera that shooters stepping up from an APS-C body are likely to consider, so this is less of an issue than it is with the 60. Other connectors include a mini USB port, so you can plug the camera into a computer for file download of tethered shooting, a PC sync socket to connect studio strobes, a remote release connector, and an Ethernet port. Photojournalists working in buildings with Ethernet will be able to instantly transmit photos back to a photo editor on the same network via Ethernet. There's no Wi-Fi in the camera, but the WFTE6A Wi-Fi adapter is available. It's meant for use in a similar environment. It doesn't pair the camera with your smartphone. There's also an add-on GPS module available for geotagging. It's priced at $390. The only full-frame camera with Wi-Fi and GPS built-in is Canon's Eos 60, and the Sony Alpha 99 sports a GPS, but no Wi-Fi. Like most Pro cameras, the 1DX uses compact flash memory. There are 2 slots, and they can be configured in a number of ways. You can mirror files, set one for RAW and the other for JPG, or set it up so that the second card is only used after the first fills up. The Canon Eos 1DX is a beast of a camera, best put in the hands of photographers who need a body that will focus in an instant and can rattle off shots at staggering rates. It's a camera that you know that you need, if you need it. It's not perfect. There are a few shortcomings, mostly related to video recording. A camera with clean HDMI output, like the Nikon D4 or Canon Eos 5D Mark III, or one with fast phase detect autofocus and balanced XLR audio input capability like the Sony Alpha 99 are better choices there. But if you're in need of a camera that can rattle off shots in rapid succession, the 1DX is a solid choice. It gives you access to Canon's extensive lens library, which has a few lenses the competition can't match, including the lovely EF 50mm f divided by 1.2 liters USM. Longtime Nikon shooters with similar needs are likely to prefer the D4, even though it doesn't quite match the 1DX in terms of frames per second. If you've got an established collection of Nikkor lenses and are more comfortable with Nikon ergonomics, limiting yourself to shooting at 10 frames per second isn't likely to cause you to miss too many shots. Despite its impressive specs and performance, the 1DX is a bit of a niche camera. For most shooters looking to enter the world of full frame, our editor's choice Canon Eos 6D is a better choice. It's smaller and lighter and doesn't focus or fire as quickly, but still delivers outstanding image quality and accepts the same EF lenses as the 1DX. The Eos 5D Mark III lies in between the two in Canon's full-frame family. It's got a few extra features that the 6D lacks, including a 61-point autofocus system, a flash sync connector, and a CF card slot, making it a better choice for event shooters and studio photographers. Looking only at the top end of the full-frame market, of which there are few choices, we rated the Nikon D4 slightly higher. Its video features are a bit more rounded. Its high ISO performance is impressive, it can shoot for longer bursts at 10 FPS, and it's a bit less expensive to boot. Pros: full-frame image sensor, 14 FPS burst capability, 61-point autofocus system, excellent images at very high ISO settings, built like a tank, loads of controls, dual CF card slots, 1080p video capture. Cons: very expensive, heavy, no built-in flash, no headphone jack, uncompressed HDMI video output not possible. Switching between still and video live view mode is cumbersome. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please leave a comment.